Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm working on my open source project react-chatbot-kit, and in the last episode, we actually implemented widgets for users. So you can programmatically add a widget for a user. And we have an example right here, so that's what we did in the last episode. Now, in this episode, what I want to focus on is the ability to add custom types. So we have two types today. One is bot and the other is user. So either the chatbot message or the user message. I want you to be able to define your own types in the config, and in doing so, being able to render out anything you want apart from the widgets that you add to messages. So in order to do that, let's go ahead and jump over to the code and make sure we also clean up a little bit in the process. So I'm in the editor here, and I'm in the chat.jsx component, the same one that we worked on in the last episode. And what I want to do is I want to just mock out how I want this render messages function to look once I'm done refactoring. So basically, I want to have if not bot or if bot message, and we'll say message object return bot message, so chat bot message, or let's see what we call this, create chatbot message. If user message, sometimes this autocomplete. If user message, and we'll pass in the message object, then we're going to return create user message. And otherwise, we'll say if custom message, and we'll pass in the message object. We'll return create custom message. All right, so let's get to work on that, because this is going to be our entire render messages function now, and we'll split off the rest here into functions. So we have a lot of work to do. First, we need to create, let's see, we have that one, right? Bot message, yep. And then we'll say export const user message equals message. And then, so if the message type is user, then we return true. And then we need to think a little bit more about the custom message, but we'll create a custom message function here. Takes in message, and for now it's just going to return true. So let's head back to chat.jsx. So we're importing bot message in the top here. We'll also get user message, and then we'll remove this, which we forgot to do in the last episode, and we'll delete it from the code. All right, so now we need to, we'll say render chatbot message and render user message and render custom message. Okay. So we'll take this first. And we'll go ahead and create const render user message. And then we will pass in the message object. The custom components will get from the structuring higher up. And then the widget registry we have, the state we have, and the scroll into view we have in the context of this function. So we only need to accept the message object here, and that should work out of the box. So let's go ahead and remove the functionality here. The that. And then the next thing we need to handle is this render chatbot message. So we'll scroll down, we'll create const render chatbot message. We'll accept the message object here as well. And we'll start by copying this. We'll put that inside of the chatbot message. And let's take a look at what we're doing. We're constructing the properties that we want to pass through. And we're spreading the message object. Here we are accepting the index, so that needs to come here as well. And we are using setState, custom components, widget registry, and messages, which are all available in the outer scope. So that should be fine. Now we need to make sure that we can do the rest here. So let's see. We're going to, for now, we'll copy this. Make sure we do one part at a time. So if it has a widget, we are going to render the chatbot with a widget. That's fine. If not, we are going to return this. So we'll put that here. And now we have to add render. So the render chatbot message needs the message object and the index. The render user message needs the message object. And then now we are at the part that we have yet to implement. So we want to render a custom message if it is defined. So let's go ahead and just make sure in our browser that everything's working. And I have my local copy of the documentation running here with the npm link to connect my local package. So let's make sure everything is working as intended. And let's go ahead and check our console. Right. And we're going to make sure that in our local chatbot-kit docs, we're still rendering the create client message. And it seems we broke something because the client message is not showing up. So let's go ahead and make sure that we are hitting this. And if not, we want to check the, I actually want to log out the message object anyway, if we are not getting past the bot message. So let's go ahead and head over to our browser. We'll open up the console, and we have to see here. We have an object. The type is user, and we are hitting the client message. So inside of the render user function, we are not returning anything, which is the cause of our problem. So once we make sure we return from that, we should be able to receive our client message as well. And that's all well and good. So now we are kind of where we started, but we cleaned up a little bit and we made ready for the work that we're going to do now. So heading back to the editor, what we want to do, and we are actually going to switch to the chatbot-kit docs here for this. So what we want to do, just to illustrate, is that we want to have custom message types. And what we want to do is to have an object here where you can define your custom message types and the component that you want to render with it. So we'll say custom here, and we'll give that a function, and the function is going to render a new component called custom message. And we need to go ahead and spread the props here. And now we need to create this component. So we'll create in docspot, we'll do just on the root here for now, custom message ESX, and we'll import React from React, say const custom message equals a function, and it's going to return a div that says custom message. Then we'll export that as default. And once we have that, we'll head over to our config and we will import custom message from custom message. All right, so now we have a custom message type object, and it has a key and the value is a function here. All right, so now let's head back to our chatbot package. We'll remove these console log because we don't need them anymore. And what we want to do is we want to retrieve the custom message function from the object. And if it matches with the type, then we want to make sure we render that. Okay, so we need to go into our chatbot and we need to create a new variable here called custom messages. And we'll define a function, get custom messages, and we'll pass in the config. So I'm going to follow the same pattern here. And we'll say export const get custom messages. It's going to take in the config, and it's going to do if config custom messages, we return config custom messages. Otherwise, we return an empty object. So now we need to import that here. We're going to say get custom messages, and we'll go back down. And now that we have those here, we'll pass them into chat. So we'll say custom messages equals custom messages. Let's see. Now TypeScript is mad at me. But looks like it's still compiling, so we'll deal with that later. So we're passing in the custom messages to chat, and we need to accept them or destructure them here. And let's go ahead and log them out just to make sure that everything's working as expected. So we've defined them now in the config in the other project. I'm going to go ahead and open the console and see. I have a little bit of logging issues here. I should open this in incognito because I have a lot of extensions that's interfering. And let's go ahead and just do a quick search for console logs here just to clean up a little bit. So in our config, we have the custom, we call them message types. We'll say messages. And we'll go ahead and we'll go back and check. All right, so you can see we have a object here that has the property custom and it's a function. Now that's great. That's what we need. And what we're going to do now is we are going to go back to our chatbot-kit source code. We're going to take these custom messages and we are going to go ahead and go into the custom message function here. So let's make sure we import it at the top. And we'll say custom message. And we need now to pass in the custom messages to that function because it's going to do the check and then it's going to call that function. So just there we have the property that we're accepting. And then inside of here, we're going to do custom messages, sorry. And then this will take custom messages and we're going to do const custom message equals type message.type, and that's going to be the key of custom messages message.type. And if we have a custom message, we return true, otherwise we return false. Okay. So now we need to make sure that we have a function that allows us to trigger or create a custom message, because we don't have that at the moment. We only have create chatbot message and create client message. So I'm going to go over to actually, I'm staying in this file and I'm going to create a new export called create custom message. And it's going to take message and that's going to be message and type. And what we'll do is actually to go ahead and say return create chat message. We'll say message and we'll say type. And we can also add on an options object here, just in case we want to render widgets with these messages as well. And we'll put the variable there, not the hard-coded string. And now let's go ahead and go to index.ts. We'll import create custom message here. And then we'll export it. Okay. So now that we have that, let's make sure that in our chat.jsx, we implement the render custom message function. And that's going to take the message object and the custom messages. And then we'll create a new function called render custom message. Accept the message object and the custom. We actually don't need to pass that in because we have it in the surrounding scope. We'll say message object and we'll do custom message equals custom messages message object type. And then what we'll do is we'll grab the, let's take a look at the props for the chatbot. So we want to add the state, the set state, the custom components, not so much. Want to add these. So we'll say const props, set state, scroll into view, and see what else. Widget registry, not so much. Action provider, we could give it that. And let's keep it at that for now, and we can expand it in the future if we need it. And then we need to do, let's see. We want to check if the message object has a widget, then we are going to return custom message and we'll pass in the props. Return. And we also want to have this. Otherwise, we will return the result of calling this function. Okay, so now let's see if this is working. And we'll do that by going over to our linked project. And here we define the custom message, and the key is custom. So we're going to remove this create client message call, and instead we'll import create custom message, and we'll say create custom message, and we will give that the message of hi and the type of custom. So this is going to match with this, and it'll trigger a call to this. So that's going to give us the ability to render a custom message if we've done everything correctly. And if we open up our linked project in the browser, we can see we have this custom message here. And that's perfect because that's exactly what we wanted. And if we go to custom message.jsx, we can say, give it a style property, padding, 1 rem, background color blue, and we'll say custom message just to change it up, and we'll say border radius 3 pixel, color white, and now we can see we have the custom message here. And you can basically do whatever you want with this. It doesn't have to be a message. It could be an image. So maybe we want to say image and source. Let's see if we find a random image on Google of a dog. Let's see. Yeah. Get that picture URL. It's not exactly what I was looking for. Let's go ahead and grab this. Let's see. Say style. Max width 100%. And now if we go to our chatbot, now we're rendering an image in our chatbot. So it's really flexible now. You can basically create different types for different scenarios and really extend it to do whatever you want. And that was sort of the goal of implementing this as well. So I think we'll stop there. We've done some really great work, and I'm really happy you came with me and joined me on this journey. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments below. And if you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe because it helps me massively. And it really drives me to make more content as well. So, all right. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.